Shadow Leader of the House, Chris Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the Leader update the House on forthcoming business?
Thank
Leader
you.
of the House, can I just say happy birthday, Leader of the House. Yay. 40 today, I mean, what more?
21 today, Mr. Speaker. The business for the week commencing the 14th of October includes Monday the 14th of October, second reading of the Terrorism Protection of Premises Bill, Tuesday the 15th of October, second reading of the House of Lords Hereditary Peers Bill, Wednesday the 16th of October, Opposition Day, third allotted day, debate on a motion in the name of the Liberal Democrats, subject to be announced. Thursday the 17th of October, general debate on the International Investment Summit. Friday the 18th of October, the House will not be sitting. The provisional business for the week commencing the 21st of October will include Monday the 21st of October, second reading of the Employment Rights Bill. Tuesday the 22nd of October, second reading of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association and International Committee of the Red Cross Status Bill, Lords. Not quite the chair. Wednesday, the 23rd of October, motion to approve the Infected Blood Compensation Scheme Regulations 2024, followed by motion to approve the Iran Sanctions Amendment Regulations 2024. Thursday, the 24th of October, general debate on Black History Month. Yeah. Friday, the 25th of October, the House will not be sitting. Additionally, the House may wish to know that I have tabled a motion to future business confirming the upcoming dates for sitting Fridays. Subject to the agreement of the House, the first sitting Friday to consider private members' bills will be the 29th of November.
Shadow Leader Chris Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I start by welcoming your new chaplain, the Reverend Mark Birch, to his role here? I'm sure we all look forward to working with him. Let me also extend my warm birthday wishes to the Leader of the House. It's hard to believe, I know, but today is a very significant birthday for her, and the whole House will wish to extend their warm wishes to her and her family. Now, I'm sure there will be a lavish party to mark the occasion, but I am genuinely concerned for the Honourable Lady. To keep up with her cabinet colleagues, she is going to need, at a minimum, a personal DJ booth and a luxury penthouse to host the party in. Now, I can see from the look on her face, she's a bit concerned about how she's going to fund all this. Now, since it's her birthday, I'll give her some advice for free. Don't follow the example of your cabinet colleagues and send the bill to Lord Ali. Anyway, happy birthday. Mr. Speaker, I must start today with the shocking failure of the government to first inform this House about the proposal to give away the strategically vital Chagos Islands. The government should have waited a few days until Parliament was sitting, or waited a few weeks until the Mauritius election was over, and told this House first. They show total contempt for Parliament. So will the Leader take this opportunity to apologise to the House now and explicitly commit that this will never happen again? The Chagos proposal is shocking, paying to give away sovereign territory to a country allied with China, who might be allowed to place military or intelligence assets near the Diego Garcia base. Downgrading a sovereign base to merely a leased base, and leases can of course be terminated, and ignoring the Chagos Islanders themselves. In opposition, we will oppose these plans every step of the way. But will the Leader now expressly confirm to the House that there will be a bill on these proposals and there will be a crag vote on the treaty itself? And can she tell the House when? Mr. Speaker, members across the House are horrified by the government's callous plan to strip the winter fuel payments from most pensioners, including 84% of those in poverty. Now, the government refused to provide the Equalities Impact Assessment in response to a written parliamentary question from one of my colleagues. But just a few days after the vote, they then slipped out that assessment via a Freedom of Information request. That denied members of Parliament the chance to see that impact assessment before voting, presumably because the government wanted to disguise from their own backbenchers the fact that over 70% of disabled pensioners will lose their winter fuel payments. The failure to disclose key information to this House appears to me to be a breach of Section 1.3d of the Ministerial Code. So firstly, will the Leader apologise to the House for hiding that information before the critical vote? And will she ask the independent adviser to investigate this as a potential breach of the Ministerial Code? And if she won't, then I will. Mr. Speaker, the public up and down the country are horrified at the Prime Minister's insatiable and venal appetite for freebies, more than any other MP in the last 5 years, totalling over £100,000. Designer suits, £1,000 spectacles, pop concerts, stays in an £18 million penthouse, all paid for by Lord Wahid Ali, who is rewarded with a Downing Street pass and influence over appointments. Not a government of service, a government of self-service, feathering its nest courtesy of Lord Ali's extremely capacious credit card. Is the Leader ashamed the Prime Minister has been doing this at the same time as stripping pensioners of their winter fuel allowance? He's paid back £6,000 of the 107. Can she explain why it's £6,000, and will he be paying back any more? Mr. Speaker, finally, this weekend marks the 100 days since this Labour government was formed. And it's fair to say, well, I wouldn't get too excited. It's fair to say they have been busy, haven't they? A Chief of Staff has been fired. Millions of pensioners on low incomes have been stripped of their winter fuel allowance. Inflation-busting pay rises for train drivers and unions without any performance improvements in return. Schools in chaos as a result of the botched VAT plans that even the trade unions say should not be implemented in January. Many successful people, it turns out, are now leaving or planning to leave the country. And in the budget in a few weeks' time, it appears there are tax rises and ballooning borrowing coming as the debt rules are rewritten, all breaking election promises. Perhaps it's no surprise the Prime Minister's personal poll ratings have gone down faster than Lord Ali's bank balance after a shopping trip with the Cabinet. A recent poll showed the public actually now prefer the last government to this one. Mr. Speaker, if they carry on like this, it won't just be Sue Gray who's in need of a new job.
Leader of the House, happy birthday.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I also welcome March Birch as the new chaplain to this House? And can I also pay tribute to Lily Ebert, who dedicated her life to ensuring the horror of the Holocaust can never happen again? And I'm sure the whole House will want to send their best wishes to the residents of Florida as the damage of Hurricane Milton unfolds. And thank you, Mr. Speaker, and the rest of the House for the birthday wishes. It is a significant birthday for me today. 50 years ago today was also a general election day, and my mum was in Labour and voting Labour. I knew even then not to come out before the polling station opened. And if the House would just indulge me slightly, I would just like to take this opportunity to thank my mum and dad, because I wouldn't be here without their lifelong support. And not only was it a big day of history for my family, it was a rare day that Labour won a general election. Talking of historic victories, this week does in fact mark the first 100 days of our new Labour government. And the work of change has begun. And I can remind the House, we've made fiscal responsibility an act so that Liz Truss can never happen again, set up GB Energy, lifted the moratorium on onshore wind, invested in carbon capture and storage, set up the National Wealth Fund, new ambitious house building targets, ending no-fault evictions and new rights for renters, bringing our railways back into public ownership, new powers to stop river pollution, ended doctor strikes so we can get the waiting lists down, kept our promise to Fegan Murray on Martin's Law, ended one-word Ofsted judgment, set up the Border Security Command, taken swift action on the riots, and we're fixing the prisons crisis that they left behind. We're paving the way for better buses across the country. We've tightened the rules on MPs' second jobs, and we're modernising Parliament and reforming the House of Lords. And today, Mr. Speaker, 97 days after the election, we are introducing the biggest boost to workers' rights in a generation, giving dignity and security at work, not as a nice extra, but as an integral part of a strategy for a high-wage, high-skilled, growing economy. A new deal for workers that we have worked at pace to deliver, tackling exploitative zero-hours contracts, ending fire and rehire, day one rights for bereavement and parental leave and to statutory sick pay, flexible working for those who want it, boosting productivity, boosting living standards. That's what Labour governments deliver. Twice as many bills in our first 100 days than the same period the Tories did after 2010. That's our work record and we're proud of it. He asks me about a few things. Firstly, on the Chagos Islands, we are committed to making statements to this House first when the House is sitting, as is in our ministerial code. And as the Foreign Secretary made clear in his statement to this House on Monday, proper parliamentary process and scrutiny will of course be followed, including a bill and the full CRAG progress. So I'm sure he'll have ample opportunity to debate that further at that time. And on the winter fuel payments, I know he wrote to me about this issue. In fact, I know he wrote to me because the Sunday Telegraph journalist told me he wrote to me before I actually received his letter. I know he likes to come to Parliament about these things first, but he's reaching desperately for a conspiracy when there just isn't one. We granted a vote on the winter fuel payment because we respect Parliament. His party didn't. We published the equality analysis, even though there was no requirement to do so. His party wouldn't have done the same. And we've had to take the very difficult decision we didn't want to make to fill the £22 billion black hole his party left behind. He doesn't want to hear it, but it's the truth. And I'm sorry, I mean, the brass neck, really, of raising standards in Parliament. He and his colleagues voted to change the rules of this House when one of their colleagues was found to be in breach of taking cash for lobbying. His Prime Minister was found in serious breach when he failed to declare a loan he'd received for doing up his flat. A loan that was brokered by somebody that then he gave a job to as the chairman of the BBC. And let's not get into the fast lane mates rates COVID contracts costing taxpayers millions of pounds, or in fact the fact that his government changed the rules on socialising while at the same time partying in Downing Street and lying to this House about it for months on end. We will take no lectures from the party opposite. So whilst we're getting on with changing the country, they are soaking themselves in the comfort of the warm bath of opposition. On the day that we are boosting workers' rights, they're in a race to the bottom on maternity pay. I might gently say to the honourable gentleman, it's time they took a cold shower. And yesterday showed they can't even count. Perhaps they should have stuck with the king of the spreadsheets after all. In just 26 parliamentary sitting days, we've delivered more bills and more change to this country than in 14 sorry years of Conservative rule.
Catherine Atkinson.
Mr. Speaker. The East Midlands has the lowest level of transport spend per person at just 56% of the national average. The state of the transport network we've inherited comes nowhere near the level of ambition I know my colleagues in the East Midlands and our new mayor have for economic growth. If funded to the UK average, that would be an extra £1.29 billion every year. So may we have a debate about inequalities in regional transport spending?
The Honourable Lady raises a very important issue, and we welcome the level of ambition from the Mayor and the local authorities in the East Midlands to improve transport in the region. And as was just outlined in transport questions earlier, the Department for Transport are undertaking a thorough review of these issues, and I'm sure they'll come back to the House soon with further information.
Liberal Democrat spokesperson Maria Goldman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd just like to echo the words of the Leader of the House in mentioning the issues that are happening in Florida at the moment, and we wish everyone safety. I'd also like to echo the congratulations of the Shadow Leader of the House to the Leader of the House on her very special birthday. Mr Speaker, I welcome the statement from the Leader of the House on the parliamentary business, and we on the Liberal Democrat benches look forward to scrutinising the parliamentary business and working constructively for the good of the country. Mr Speaker, the new government has mentioned many times its commitment to building 1.5 million homes, new homes, in this Parliament. As Lib Dems, we recognise that our country is in a housing crisis and we welcome this target. Of course, although I know all MPs love donning a hard hat for that all-important photo opportunity, it isn't central government that will be delivering those homes, it's local government, largely through the planning system and the partnership work with developers and the infrastructure providers. This is the case in my own constituency, where a Liberal Democrat-run Chelmsford City Council is already delivering on this, with thousands of new homes being planned. But, Mr Speaker, these homes are in danger of not being delivered at all if the government doesn't urgently act in two extremely important ways. Firstly, it needs to speed up its decision-making around funding for large infrastructure projects, projects such as the A12 widening scheme. If this important scheme does not receive the funding promised by the previous government, over 10,000 homes may not be delivered. Secondly, councils such as Chelmsford that are a long way into developing or reviewing their local plans are extremely concerned that they will miss the arbitrary NPPF transition period deadline by just a matter of weeks. This will render all the expensive work that they have done on their plans so far null and void, threatening the delivery of thousands of homes and leaving a developer free for all in the absence of a valid local plan. Specifically, planning authorities desperately need the government to extend the transition period in the new NPPF to at least 3 months. When can we expect to receive assurance about funding for the infrastructure projects that are crucial to supporting the government's home building targets? And when can we expect a solution to the cliff edge faced by councils currently reviewing their local plans?
Leader.
Well, can I thank the Honourable Lady for her birthday wishes and welcome her to her new role. She is also a member of the Modernisation Committee, and I very much enjoyed our exchanges at the first meeting earlier in September. I also look forward to working with her on the House of Commons Commission, of which I think she will now become a member. I think, given her background in glazing and construction, I'm sure her insights into the many repairs that are needed into this place, particularly some of the stained glass windows, might be particularly valuable to the House of Commons Commission. I mean, Mr Speaker, she might not quite realise the heady heights that she's now reached in the House of Commons, the pressing matters of the bacon butty cost in the members' tea room, the state of the toilets in Portcullis House. These all await her valuable contribution and insights in the House Commission and many important matters. But she, and I would just like to pay tribute to her predecessor, who I've known for many years and always gave many thoughtful contributions to this session. She raises some very important matters about house building. As she will know, this government is unashamedly pro-house building, but this is not a developer free-for-all, as she rightly says. And that's why it's important that we boost planning capacity in local authorities, and it's also why we are bringing forward the infrastructure bill to make sure that big infrastructure decisions are taken much more quickly and robustly. I hear what she says about the national planning policy deadlines, and I will make sure that she gets a good reply on that as soon as possible.
Can I just say, I don't want to embarrass members, but if you're late in, please don't stand. Right, let's take somebody who was in very early here in Lavery.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Woodhall Museum on the former Woodhall Colliery site in my constituency. It's the home of the fantastically world-renowned Pitman painters. It's been transferred this week to Tyne and Wear Archives and Museums by Northumberland County Council, Tory-led council. They've sold off the family silverware. There's been no consultation whatsoever with the residents. Can the Leader of the House please make time in the parliamentary schedule to discuss how local people in local communities can have a say on how to protect cultural assets in their region?
Leader.
Well, as ever, he makes a very important point, and the cultural assets, and importantly, I think the industrial assets, or historical assets, are for the community to enjoy into the future. And I'm sure the topic that he raises would make a very good one for an adjournment debate, should he wish to apply for one.
We come to the chair of the Backbench Committee, Bob Blackman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the 9th of July 1944, Lily Ebert arrived at Ashford-Birkenau with her mother, her brother and younger sister. All of them were murdered in the gas chambers. Somehow Lily escaped. She dedicated her life to spreading the horrors of the Holocaust and recounting her story, and hundreds of millions of people around the world have seen her videos reciting her story. Despite the efforts of the Nazis, she leaves behind, having died earlier this week, 10 grandchildren, 38 great-grandchildren, and now 1 great-great-grandchild. So the attempts of the Nazis to wipe out her family failed. Yeah. But we have a problem, that she dedicated her life to spreading the word about what happened in the Holocaust. In dedicating our words and our condolences to her family, it is now even more vital, as the Holocaust survivors sadly pass away, that we get the Holocaust Memorial and the Education Centre built alongside this place. Obviously, the bill is going through its stages in Parliament. Will she do everything she can to speed up that process so that before the last Holocaust survivor sadly leaves us, they can actually see and witness the monument, to make sure it never happens again?
Leader.
Well, can I thank him for that very important tribute to Lily Ebert. She did indeed dedicate her life to ensure that the next generations are educated onto the true horrors of the Holocaust so that they will never happen again. And he has spent most of his parliamentary career educating the rest of us on these important matters as well, and of course in pushing forward the Holocaust Memorial Centre here in Westminster. He will know that that bill continues its passage in the Lords. I was very pleased to make sure that that bill was included in the King's Speech programme of this government and has early passage in the other place, and will hopefully receive royal assent at the earliest opportunity should all houses wish it to do so.
Julie Minns.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In recent weeks, 2 of my constituents have contacted me with regard to the unacceptable delays in the performance of the DVLA, with regard to wait times for medical assessments, and most recently with regard to the performance of the DVSA. And again, the incredibly long wait times that people are experiencing in Carlisle and North Cumbria in getting a driving test. Now, in areas like mine where public transport is virtually non-existent, the ability to drive is a precursor to being economically active. Could I ask the Leader of the House if she will arrange for the Secretary of State to make a statement on the steps that the Department's taking to improve the performance of both the DVLA and the DVSA?
Leader. Well, can I thank her for that? She makes a very important point, which has been raised in this House, actually in previous sessions as well as in this one. And this is frankly just not good enough, especially for those in rural communities like her who rely so heavily on being able to drive and motoring. She may be aware there is a Westminster Hall debate next week on the availability of driving tests. That might be a good opportunity to raise some of these issues. But I, of course, will ensure that the Minister has heard her question today. Dr. Luke Helens.
Madam Deputy Speaker, may I ask the Leader of the House if we could have a specific debate on the hospital review programme? The review that's carried out means that the Leicestershire and Rutland hospitals are now in scope. We were due to have 2 hospitals and a midwife unit as well as a car park. This was in phase 3 and work had already begun about the plans to deal with this. I've set up a petition that's been shared by my other MPs in Leicester and Leicestershire to make sure that this gets the recognition it needs, and I urge everyone in Leicestershire and Rutland to sign that petition. But could we have a debate in government time specifically about the review to make sure hospitals that serve over 1 million people in Leicestershire get the due funding they need?
Well, I know this is a matter of great interest to many members across this House, the new hospital building programme. But I do have to say to the honourable gentleman that we came into government to find that the proposed new hospital programme was in fact a complete work of fiction. And money was not allocated for many of the promises that had been made, and that's why the government is now undertaking a full and comprehensive review of the new hospital programme, because we want to provide an actual and realistic and costed proposal for all the new hospitals that the country so desperately needs.
Emily Darlington.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. First of all, I'd like to wish the Leader of the House a happy birthday as well and reassure her that life begins at the age you turn. Without mentioning it. Secondly, I'd like to raise the issue of violence against women and girls. This government, as you'll know, has made a huge effort in terms of combating, both on the policing and the court side, how we tackle violence against women and girls and how we have that. But it's the attitudes and the precursor to that proves more difficult to tackle. In Milton Keynes, I partnered with White Ribbon to make sure that we became the first White Ribbon city in the UK to tackle those attitudes, partnering with the police and the shopping centre and the football team and schools to create an environment where every woman and girl feels safe. International White Ribbon Day is coming up in November. We have always marked it in this House, but I was hoping that she would investigate with me, and would she agree with me that it would make it even more powerful if we became the first White Ribbon accredited parliament in the world to make sure every woman and girl feels safe on our estate.
Happy birthday to the Leader.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. Life obviously does begin at 30. Of course, we know that really well. But can I thank my honourable friend for raising the very important White Ribbon campaign and accreditation. I know this is something that she's been a long time committed to, and tackling violence against women and girls is a priority for this government. It's one of our key missions to halve violence against women and girls over the coming years, a very, very ambitious target and one that we're determined to meet. I think her idea of Parliament taking that journey to become a White Ribbon accredited organisation is a very good one, and I'll talk to her about that and others on the House of Commons Commission.
The Right Honourable Julian.
Will the Leader of the House join with me in paying tribute to two fine, distinguished, genial and dedicated parliamentarians, both of whom we've lost within the last few days, Michael Ancram, or Lord Lothian, and Sir Geoffrey Patty, who passed away most recently. I would like to send my appreciation and condolences to their families, and I'd be grateful if she would do so on behalf of the House. And as it's her birthday today, would she consider giving a present to this House? It's absolutely true that successive governments announce important matters in the media when they should announce them first to this House, and successive oppositions criticise them for doing so. But will she do her level best to ensure that we don't have unnecessary repetition of what we've recently seen with the announcement on the Chagos Islands so soon before Parliament was set to resume?
Well, can I join him in paying tribute to the eminent parliamentarians that he mentions that we recently lost, and it's important that this House does come together to do that. I try and give many presents to this chamber, which is one of the reasons that I was keen to announce the long-term recess dates, which I'm sure we can all agree was a present. But he's absolutely right. This government, and for me as Leader of the House, we are very committed to the principle that statements should be made to Parliament first, and should be made as soon as possible when the House is not sitting. And I also take a very firm view that Secretaries of State themselves should be making those to this House as well. I work very hard to uphold those principles. Of course, there are times when announcements do need to be made in recess for other international or national reasons, and that's why it's right that the Foreign Secretary came here at the very first opportunity to make that to this House.
Dawn Butler.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and very warm birthday wishes to the Leader of the House. I welcome the announcement that Black History Month will be debated in government time, and I do hope that that will be in perpetuity, so that no matter the colour of the government, it will always happen. This year's theme is reclaiming the narrative, and last week I posted a poem of the first ones on my social media platform and received a lot of support and wonderful messages, but also a lot of racist abuse. And I just want to put on record that the Natural History Museum has stated that scientists are sure that Homo sapiens first evolved in Africa. So reclaiming the narrative might also mean resetting the narrative. So does my right honourable friend agree with me that it's important that debates like Black History Month is important, and so that we have an even greater understanding of history?
Well, can I first of all thank the Honourable Lady for using an opportunity at Prime Minister's questions yesterday and other occasions to ask for a debate on Black History Month, and it's thanks to her and colleagues' efforts that we've been able to announce that today, so I want to pay tribute to her. I'm sure that the issues she raises will be debated in that debate. It's absolutely vital, I think, that the narrative is reclaimed, and the attitudes of people that she describes on social media and elsewhere that are fueled on ignorance and hate is something we need to expose and put an end to.
Richard Tice.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And can I suggest to the Leader of the House that she celebrate this special birthday by granting a debate on the amendments to the international health regulations that were agreed at the World Health Assembly back in the summer, and granting a vote to MPs before handing over sovereignty on important matters of national public health to the World Health Organization.
Well, can I thank you for those birthday wishes? I think he's as I gently might say, on previous occasions, slightly misunderstanding the situation that he's outlining. But of course, we will always, and we do, come to this House with important matters, and where they require votes, and in fact, in some cases where they don't require votes, we've been very forthcoming with them, and we will continue to be so.
Adam Dragan.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And birthday greetings to the Leader from me and people of Newcastle and Lyme too. Will the Leader join me in paying tribute to all the volunteers and team at Newcastle and Lyme Food Bank? They do wonderful work to support some of the most vulnerable people in our community. And with that work in mind, can we have a debate on this government's plans to tackle food poverty?
Leader.
Well, can I thank him for that question? And he's absolutely right. It is shocking that in 2024, this country, this great country of ours, still requires such a huge and widespread use of food banks, and that we are blighted by food poverty in this country. That's why this government has set up a cross-cutting task force to address child poverty. It's also why we are committed to the rollout of free breakfast clubs and to create more nurseries in our schools as well. And it's partly also why we're so delighted to introduce the Employment Rights Bill today, so that people can really get dignity in work and security.
Martin Vickers.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. In North and North East Lincolnshire, we have some excellent further and higher education institutions that provide the knowledge and skills that our young people need for the evolving world of work. Yesterday I met a representative of the Association of Colleges who outlined the challenges that the sector is facing. Could we have a debate on the further and higher education colleges to give members the opportunity to tease out from government how they see policies developing in that, and perhaps that debate could be in government time?
Leader. Yeah, I know this is a matter of concern to many people, and the government has set about very quickly having a quick review of the defunding of BTECs. That review will be completed very quickly, something I know is of great concern to further education colleges. We do have education questions on the 4th of November, and we will soon be having, coming from the other house, the technical education bill that's forthcoming too.
Joe Platt. Madam Deputy Speaker, October is ADHD Awareness Month, yet individuals with ADHD are still being failed with diagnosis delays, medication shortages and a lack of resources in schools and the workplace. So can we therefore have a debate on how government can best support people with ADHD across the lifetime, from childhood to adulthood, so that we can ensure we give everybody the opportunity to thrive?
Can I take this opportunity to welcome her back as the MP for now Lee and Atherton? A short holiday she should have never have had from being the MP for Lee and Atherton, I have to say. And can I also thank her for all the work that she's done as chair of the APPG on ADHD as well. I'm sure this topic would make a very good one for a Westminster Hall debate if she should apply for one.
Max Wilkinson.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. On Monday, Gloucestershire's Police and Crime Commissioner suspended the county's Chief Constable. Yesterday, we learned that the Deputy Chief Constable had been suspended in January and subsequently retired in June. These matters remain under investigation, and I do not seek to comment on the specifics of the cases. That would be unfair to the individuals concerned. But given that this leaves our local police force with its two most senior posts vacant, will the Leader of the House consider making time for a debate or a ministerial statement on what happens in these difficult circumstances where a leadership vacuum emerges in police forces?
Well, he wouldn't expect me to comment on the individual cases as he outlines. We do have Home Office questions coming up in a couple of weeks on the 21st of October. I'm sure he can raise those matters there. But one thing we have found since the election is that our police, morale in our police forces and leadership in our police forces is not what it could be, and that's why the Home Secretary is embarking on the recruitment drive and reforms in our police force to make sure that we've got all the police that we need.
Chris Murray.
Thank you. Around 500,000 people rely on heat networks, which is good in achieving our climate goals, but heat networks are not included in the off-gem price cap. My constituents in Craigmillar, therefore, are facing a 400% increase in their energy bills. This is terrifying for them and completely unacceptable. They should have the same protections as traditional heating systems. Will the Leader of the House allow a debate in government time so we can address this terrible anomaly?
Leader. He raises a very important matter that has actually been raised with me before, and I know is one of real concern to him and to many other colleagues across this House. There is a Westminster Hall debate next week on the community benefits of renewable energy projects, which may be something he could raise that in, but if not, I will make sure he gets a good response from the Minister.
Ben.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And may I wish many happy returns to the Leader of Commons, who shares her birthday with a true legend that is my father. Last week we saw significant flooding in the east of England and across Cambridgeshire in particular. In my constituency of Huntingdon, I visited local residents whose houses either flooded or were at risk of flooding in Hansel Road and Centenary Way in Brampton and in Whitecross in St Ives. In all instances, local residents told me how they were frustrated by the lack of coordination from the multi-agency response, and after I wrote to the Chief Executive of Cambridgeshire County Council to address this, he was very quick to abdicate responsibility, stating that being a lead flood authority does not mean we are the lead agency in addressing a response to flooding. With the government implementing a flood resilience task force, would the Leader of the House make time in the parliamentary schedule to debate the role and responsibilities of coordinating the multi-agency response to flooding?
Well, first of all, can I wish his father a happy birthday? What a great birthday he has. Good judgment there. He raises a very important issue of flood resilience, which gets raised in business questions and elsewhere frequently. And as we move into the winter months, it is of particular relevance. I know it would get wide support were he to apply for a Westminster Hall debate, but I will consider whether there can be time made for these issues before we get into the winter months.
Steve Young.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I welcome the introduction of the Employment Rights Bill today. A truly momentous piece of legislation that will improve conditions for workers across the whole country. Can the Leader of the House advise me how this bill will have a significant impact on the working lives of my constituents in Mansfield?
Well, can I thank him for that question? We are absolutely delighted that huge bill has been introduced today, and I want to put on record my thanks to the Deputy Prime Minister and the Secretary of State for Business and Trade and all their officials who've worked at pace to introduce this huge and important bill within 100 days of the election. As he says, it will do many things. I won't go into them now, but it is an important reminder that when the previous Labour government introduced the National Minimum Wage Act in 1997, it was resoundingly opposed by the party opposite, as they seem to be doing with the Employment Bill now as well, and I'm sure this will be a matter of much debate in the coming weeks as we discuss the bill.
Carla Delia.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and many happy returns to the Leader of the House. This week, questions have been raised about whether Lord Wolney is to be sacked as the government's anti-extremism advisor amid concerns about his independence. And I understand that a formal complaint will be lodged next week about his paid roles advising lobbyists for clients that include fossil fuel and arms companies, while he advised the government at the same time that some peaceful climate protesters and anti-war protesters should be considered extremists. I'd therefore like to ask for a debate about whether the rules need revisiting around when a government advisor is formally described as independent, especially when the government has said it wants to raise standards. Please. Thank you.
Well, can I thank her for that question? She raises an important matter of a public appointment, and I'm not going to get into the specifics of that now. That wouldn't be appropriate. We do have Home Office questions coming up on the 21st of October, but I will ensure that she gets a response from the Minister long before those oral questions.
Sally Jameson.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Despite warm words and indeed promises from previous ministers and indeed prime ministers in the last government, for reasons that for this day still aren't clear, Doncaster Royal Infirmary was left off the new hospital programme, which we now know wasn't even funded. Will the Secretary of State allow time for a debate on Doncaster's need for a new hospital and the extensive repair backlog that we have, as well as the urgent need to transfer all the patient records from paper to digital so people in my constituency can have the healthcare that they deserve?
Well, what she describes is a familiar story, the woeful state of the infrastructure within our NHS, the capital assets, the digital assets. These are matters that are of huge importance and of great urgency. As I gave in the answer to an earlier question, unfortunately, the government's new hospital building programme was a work of fiction, and we are now working at pace to put that right. I do understand that Doncaster and Batterslaw Teaching Hospital NHS Foundation Trust is due to receive its critical infrastructure risk funding soon, but I will make sure that she gets a full response about the future of her hospital.
Madam Deputy Speaker, and may I also wish her a very happy birthday. 50 is definitely the new 30 in her case. Madam Deputy Speaker, an investigation by researchers at the University of Bath has revealed that school children in England are unknowingly smoking vapes spiked with the synthetic drug spice, which is a highly addictive drug. Tests on just under 600 confiscated vapes revealed that 1 in 6 contained spikes. This is an alarming figure. The government must raise awareness of this issue in schools to educate young people, teachers and parents. So can we please have a debate in government time to raise this serious issue and how we can protect young people from potentially a life of serious addiction?
Well, can I thank her for the birthday wishes and for all of her work over recent months. As ever, she raises another very thoughtful and important matter. She will be aware that the government is committed to bringing forward the tobacco and vapes bill imminently, which will bring in new restrictions around the sale of vapes to children, rightly so, and there will be further measures announced in that bill when it's introduced soon.
Alice MacDonald.
Thank you very much. In Norfolk, safety concerns have recently been identified regarding school ceilings. Norfolk County Council has inspected 60 schools and at least 15 are in need of urgent repairs. Signs of these faults were reportedly missed in previous inspections. Can we have a debate in government time on school safety to ensure every child is educated in a decent building?
Yeah. Well, the woeful state of our crumbling school buildings is there for all to see, and the rack scandal that we saw a year or so ago was just another symptom of the previous government's lack of decision-making and lack of funding for these things. I'm sure that the Education Secretary would be happy to take a question from her in oral questions that are coming up soon, and I'll make sure the Minister's heard her question.
Nick Timothy.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Many members of the House, including reportedly the Health Secretary, have very grave concerns about the proposal to legalise euthanasia. Changing the law would change our relationship with the elderly, the infirm and the vulnerable, and risk broadening scope and abuses of power. On such a serious issue, we need proper consultation and real debate. So instead of rushing this through a private member's bill on Fridays, can ministers commit to a proper, considered consultation and then give government time for us to address this very serious matter in proper time and very carefully?
Well, he will know that the matter of assisted dying is a matter of conscience and therefore a matter for Parliament and not one on which the government has a view and not one that the government will take an active role in. We will remain neutral. Should someone wish to bring forward a private member's bill, that will progress, I'm sure, through respectful and lengthy debate in Parliament, as we have had in the past and has taken place in the other House as well. It's a long-standing convention, and the government has set aside collective responsibility to allow that debate to happen in a thoughtful and thorough way.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today marks World Mental Health Day, so I'd like to pay tribute to the staff and volunteers at charities like mine, BLMK and the Samaritans, amongst many others, who do brilliant work to support people in Luton South and South Bedfordshire. And this year's theme is mental health in the workplace. So I was delighted to see Labour's Employment Rights Bill be formally laid in Parliament today, and even more pleased to hear the Leader announce that its second reading is on the 21st of October, even though that preempted my next question. So I'll just simply say, does she agree with me that Labour's Employment Rights Bill will make huge difference to people's mental well-being in the workplace, and the whole House should support it on that basis alone?
I absolutely agree with the Honourable Lady.
Lee Dillon.
Deputy Speaker, and can I extend my warm wishes on your special birthday to the Leader of the House. West Berkshire has the lowest provision of pharmacists in the country, with one resident or one pharmacist to 7,200 residents, compared to an average of 4,600 to one resident. So will the Leader of the House allow government time to debate how the current NHS pharmacy contract is restricting the availability of pharmacists, particularly in West Berkshire?
Well, he makes a very good point, and rolling out the availability of pharmacy services, which are absolutely vital in terms of the preventative agenda of this government, also the agenda of this government to provide community services in every community, be that GPs or pharmacies. These are very important matters. I know that the Health Secretary will continue to update this House, but we have got health questions coming up next week if he wants to raise them then.
Nav Mission.
Madam Speaker, can I congratulate my constituency neighbour and the Leader of the House on her birthday and wish her and her family the best. Madam Deputy Speaker, Mr Speaker has left the chair, but I know him and I are long-standing users of anti-West Coast trains, and he will be, I'm sure, familiar with the poor reliability issues when it comes to his constituency travel. Last week I was made aware of a serious crisis at my local station Stockport. It seems that Avanti simply isn't employing enough staff so that the train station can function when it comes to passenger safety, worker safety, and of course passenger experience. The Financial Times has recently reported that Avanti was the worst performing train operator in the UK between April and June. As such, Madam Deputy Speaker, can I ask the Leader of the House to allocate time in government time for a debate on the operational performance when it comes to Avanti, as it impacts not just the regional economy in the North West, but national economy, our public infrastructure? Thank you.
Well, can I thank him for that question? And like him, I'm a regular user of both Avanti West Coast and Stockport Station. And I'm hoping that their reliability this afternoon will be spot on so that I can get home in time for a birthday meal. Please take note. But look, he raises a very important issue. Our trains for too long, the privatisation programme hasn't worked, and our trains for too long have been unreliable and expensive and poorly serving this country. And that's why we've brought in very quickly the rail franchising bill, which is now in the other place, and we will soon be bringing forward a further bill to establish Great British Railways to bring back our trains once again into public ownership.
Sarah Bull.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and many happy returns to the Leader of the House. In South Northamptonshire, over 4,000 people are diagnosed with diabetes, but yet only around 54% of those have the required treatment to avoid complications. We really do need to remove the stigma around diabetes and secure greater access to technology. So will the Leader of the House ensure that the government takes action to ensure that we take diabetes treatment seriously and give the support that we all need?
Well, can I thank her for that very important question? And she's absolutely right that diabetes is one of those illnesses that people can live well and long, happy, healthy lives alongside if they are getting the right treatment. And this is an area where technology is particularly moving at a fast pace, and could every patient get access to it, would really improve their quality of life. So I'm sure, were she to ask for a Westminster Hall or adjournment debate, I'm sure it would be one that would be very well received.
We have over 20 people hoping to get in, so let's keep it short and snappy. David Williams.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and may I quickly extend my birthday wishes to the Leader of the House. I recently spoke to one of my constituents in Stoke-on-Trent North and Kidsgrove, who told me about the difficulty they were having when trying to secure a test to qualify as a driving instructor. Now, we have a dire need for more driving instructors to tackle the backlog for those waiting for tests. Will the Leader of the House please make time for a debate on this matter in the House? Thank you.
Well, he's the second person to raise this very important topic this morning, and he may not be aware there is a Westminster Hall debate next week on the 16th of October on the availability of driving tests, and having qualified driving instructors is, of course, critical to that endeavour, and you might want to attend that.
Richard Ford. Yeah. Richard Ford.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Buyers of homes in Axholme Park in Fennerton thought they were buying family homes in which they could raise their families. But actually their deed stated that the Axholme Park Management Company would apply to get the road adopted by County Council Highways and the sewers by South West Water. Since then, the management company has become insolvent. The roads and sewers haven't been adopted, and the residents cannot move or sell their homes. Will the government grant us a debate on flawed, failed and rip-off property management companies, please?
This is a topic that gets raised many times in this House, and one that we are all well aware of. It's part of the reason we will be introducing draft legislation around leasehold reform, a long-standing issue, and I'm sure that he could raise the issues of managing agents in a further debate either in Westminster Hall or through the Backbench Business Committee once it's established.
Graham Downey.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. With many high street banks announcing local branch closures and pointing people to the post office as a resource for services, the attractiveness of being a sub-postmaster has never been more important. Yet in my constituency of Dunfermline and Dollar, our post office in Cairney Hill will be closing, and those considering taking it over are being put off by the costs and complications. Can I ask the Leader of the House if time could be allowed for discussion on how to support new postmasters to take on these vital community roles?
Well, postmasters have had a very difficult time in recent years, and there are still many questions facing the post office in their support and recruitment and remuneration for postmasters, and I'm sure this would make an extremely good topic for a debate in this House.
James Shannon. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Happy birthday, Leader of the House. A quite simple point, don't count the years, instead make the years count. That's the important one to do. Can I thank the Leader of the House and on the minds of members who care about protecting freedom of religion or belief, I'd like to just focus on upon a man of great importance, Jimmy Lai. British citizen Jimmy Lai, who will turn 77 at the end of this year, has been detained in solitary confinement in a maximum security prison in Hong Kong for nearly 4 years, since December 2020. Confined to his cell for 23 hours of the day, this Catholic faith is a source of strength. Aggravating this inhuman treatment even more, Mr Lai has been denied the Eucharist. What steps can the government take to raise with the Hong Kong authorities a case of British citizen Jimmy Lai, who has been detained in solitary confinement in a maximum security prison for nearly 4 years, and whether representations will be made concerning reports that Mr Lai, a practising Roman Catholic, has been denied access to Eucharist, aggravating his already inhumane treatment, and now his freedom of religion is being also impinged upon. Thank you.
Well, Madam Deputy Speaker, what better birthday present than a question from the member for Strangford and some pearls of wisdom to go with them, which I will take on board absolutely. But he raises, as ever, a very important case, and Mr Lai's case is a priority for this government. The Foreign Secretary has already raised his case with China's Foreign Minister, and we continue to call on the Hong Kong authorities to end their politically motivated prosecution and immediately release him.
Mark Ferguson.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I must declare an interest before my question. I'm proud, before serving in this place, to have served as a national officer for Unison, the biggest trade union in the country and also the biggest organisation by membership for women in the country. So I'm particularly pleased to see the measures in today's employment bill around maternity rights. There are an estimated more than 4,000 women who were dismissed last year who will benefit from the provisions in this bill. Whilst the party opposite have pushed through to the final two of their contest, whether they intended to or not, a candidate who believes that maternity pay has gone too far. Well, on that, they may not want to hear it, but that is true. On that point, will we have plenty of time to discuss the important issue of maternity rights as the bill progresses?
Well, can I thank him for that question? And he personally can take a great deal of personal satisfaction and thanks for the bill getting to this place, along with his union, Unison, who we are proud to have worked with on this bill and the Make Work Pay policy document that supports it. And he's absolutely right. These issues of maternity pay, parental leave, bereavement leave, 0 hours contracts and all the other benefits in this bill will be widely debated, I'm sure, as this bill progresses through the House of Commons.
Danny Beals.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. There is an even better birthday present than a question from the member opposite, and that is theatre tickets to the Beck Theatre in Hillingdon, which my residents and constituents much love. Unfortunately, we face the very real prospect that the Beck Theatre might close in the coming weeks due to inaction of the local Conservative council in Hillingdon. Would the Leader of the House make time in this place to discuss the real value that we have through arts and culture and community theatres like the Beck? Thank you.
Well, he raises a very important matter, and the community theatres, as the one he describes in his constituency, sounds like a really important one. And it is actually an issue of national shame, really, that so many theatres are struggling to find funding, and I hope his local authority will reconsider their decision. He may wish to raise them next week at DCMS questions in this place.
Clay Hughes.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And can I say Penwood hapus iawn to the Leader of the House.
Last week, I was absolutely delighted to attend the launch of Bangor University's new medical school, a really exciting development that will not only train the next generation of doctors in North Wales, but could be a real catalyst for regional investment. Could I ask the Leader of the House to join me in congratulating all those involved in delivering the medical school and to make time for debate in this House on the important topic of the role that universities can play in stimulating regional growth?
Well, what a brilliant thing to happen so early in her time as the MP for Bangor, to see the new medical school opening, which will be a vital facility in helping this government deliver its ambitions for an extra 40,000 appointments a week and all the additional doctors that our NHS so desperately needs. So I'm delighted to thank all of those involved and thank her for her support of it.
Ferguson.
Madam Deputy Speaker, and may I wish my honourable friend an excellent time on her very special day. But I'd also like to ask if she will join me in congratulating and thanking Drumchapel Citizens Advice Bureau for dealing with 7,448 clients, clocking up 12,442 volunteer hours, and securing some £2,810,039 for clients in the course of the last year. Drumchapel Citizens Advice, although excellent, is of course typical of the situation we see across communities up and down this country. So would the government be able to provide time to give us a debate so that we can recognise and discuss what further support might be given to them?
I'm sure every member of Parliament here in this House today will want to thank the work that the Citizens Advice do across the country in providing so much support and advice that's needed to our constituents. I'm sure this would be a very welcome debate for a backbench business or adjournment debate if she would want to apply for one.
I'm going to try and get everybody in, so let's keep it really short, folks. Ben Goldsborough.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I've recently met with campaigners in my local constituency in the beautiful village of Toffs Monks to talk about road safety in the area. There is a campaign running which I'm supporting to lower the speed limit to 30 miles an hour to make it sure that children can walk to school safely on the village roads. Can we have a debate in government time on highway safety in rural areas?
Well, thank you for that question. What a great topic for a debate. We did just have transport questions this morning, but I'm sure if you wanted to put in for an adjournment debate, it would be something we'd look kindly on.
Tonia and Antoniazzi.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I'd just like to pay tribute to fellow Librans and say 50 is indeed the new 21. But as a woman of a certain age, I know it's really important for us in this House and for everybody to celebrate and raise awareness of Menopause Awareness Day, which is on the 18th of October, but also the work of Maggie's, the cancer charity, because they want to highlight the issue of early treatment-induced menopause for women receiving cancer treatment. So can we have a debate on the floor of this House about the crash menopause and raising the awareness for women undergoing cancer treatment at the moment?
Well, she has just highlighted it herself, the important work that Maggie's do and others and those affected by cancer that then brings on the necessary early onset of menopause and other issues, and I'm sure she will continue to raise these matters in the House.
Powell.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and happy birthday to my parliamentary namesake. Dockless e-bikes are an increasingly popular transport mode in Kensington and Chelsea and Westminster, yet local authorities don't have the powers to regulate inappropriate parking and antisocial behaviour. So would the Leader consider some time to debate whether local authorities should have more power to regulate the dockless e-bike rental market?
Well, he does indeed have a great surname, can I just say that? But he's absolutely right. I mean, e-bikes can be a blight and a challenge, and there are safety issues. The government is currently considering these issues, and we are introducing a product regulation bill which will consider some of these matters further, so I'm sure there will be plenty of debate going forward.
Mark Sewards.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Over the recess, I had the privilege of visiting Elliott Hudson College, an outstanding institution delivering excellent post-16 education in my constituency. Now, the students had some fairly tough questions for me. The future is very bright in Leeds, South West and Morley. But my question today is about the pause and review on the cancellation of the applied general qualifications, specifically their impact on the ability of colleges like Elliott Hudson to plan for the future. Now, the review is absolutely the right course of action for the government to take. So would the Leader of the House provide time in this place to update the House on its progress so that post-16 education institutions like Elliott Hudson College can have some clarity on what qualifications they can offer next year?
Well, I know from my own constituency this is raised very regularly with me and others from FE colleges. The government did pause the planned defunding of those qualifications, and that now means that 95 qualifications are again available to learners. That review is taking place as quickly as possible. Hopefully we're going to publish it before Christmas, and I can guarantee there will be a statement to this House at that time.
David Baines.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. I'm sad to inform the House that recently my colleague and friend, Councillor Linda Maloney, MBE, passed away. She served the local community in St Helens for 30 years as a councillor and was a trailblazer on the Merseyside Fire and Rescue Authority. She was a formidable woman, a strong Labour woman, and an inspiration to many people, including me. Will the Leader of the House join me in sending condolences to her husband, Mike, and family? And could we find time for a debate on the importance and value of community campaigners and councillors such as Linda up and down the country to recognise the difference they make to communities? Yeah.
Well, Linda Maloney sounds like a wonderful woman who served her community in St Helens brilliantly over a long period of time, and it's a very welcome reminder of the important role that our councillors and volunteers and community activists play in making sure that our communities are the best places to live and work.
Paffey.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The murder of Mark Noak in my constituency last year, in a terrible case of mistaken identity when a drug gang went to the wrong address, was a heartbreaking and senseless tragedy, especially for his family, who I met recently. While justice was served with 7 convictions, the experience of the family throughout the trial could, I believe, be improved. Could the Leader of the House set out how this House might have the opportunity to monitor the new Victims and Prisoners Act 2024, ensure that its recommendations are implemented, and can she advise on how the voices of bereaved families like my constituents can be heard in that process?
Well, I'm sorry to hear of the tragic case, and my condolences go to the loved ones of Mark Note that he's outlined. We are going to implement the reforms in the Victims and Prisoner Act of 2024, but we are also going to go further, and that's why we're introducing the Victims' Courts and Public Protection Bill later in this session, and I'm sure he will want to follow that with a close eye.
Barros-Curtis.
Deputy Speaker, an elderly constituent of mine in Cardiff West has been involved in months of protracted correspondence with HMRC, who have suddenly demanded that my constituent hand over pay slips dating back 50 years in order to now satisfy themselves of my constituent's employment a half-century ago. Now, the House knows that the number 50 holds a particular resonance in my right honourable friend today. So I wonder if I might take the liberty and see if she will look kindly and make time for a debate about HMRC and the way it approaches these sorts of cases with our elderly constituents.
I think he misheard, it's 30. But no, look, he raises a very, sounds like a really ludicrous situation to expect somebody to find so many pay slips over the whole lifetime as evidence, and I will definitely raise this matter with Treasury Ministers.
Lee Pitcher.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and over the last few months, I have seen how Bawtry has turned the town pink. We've had 70 organisations that have come together to raise awareness of this really important topic. In fact, I don't think, since I was a young kid, in fact, the last time I saw as many bras on display was when I was about 7 years old in the shops with my mum and sister and took the wrong turn in Marks and Spencer's. Would would you join me? Would you join me in congratulating Bawtry for raising awareness, the 70 organisations raising awareness of this massively important issue, and the importance of identifying and noting the symptoms of breast cancer early. Thank you.
Well, leader. He might attract some other attention to Bawtry now that he said there's many bras on display. But anyway, he raises a very important issue about Breast Cancer Awareness Week and the importance of the breast screening programme in preventing many deaths, I think 1,300 deaths a year from breast cancer. But he's right to note that actually this programme has been declining, so all the efforts of his constituents and others to highlight the importance of breast cancer awareness and screening is absolutely to be applauded.
Andrew Cooper. The Cheshire County Netball Under-17 squad, which includes girls from my constituency, will travel to America next month to compete in the Netball Open Championships, the first British team to be invited to do so, I believe. I know the team will have an unforgettable experience and will showcase their talent, and I wish them all the best. Will the Minister look to arrange a debate on the benefits of providing support for grassroots teams to facilitate their participation in such events that offer youngsters unique opportunities and help develop cultural relationships between countries and friendships between competitors?
Well, I'm delighted to congratulate the Cheshire County Under-17 squad for successfully reaching the 2024 USA Netball Open Championships. What an achievement. Netball is a fantastic sport, one that I really enjoyed as a youngster, as my daughter does now, and he may want to raise these issues in the debate which follows this on the importance that sport plays in our society.
Having saved the best till last, Jim Dickson.
Thank you very much. Too kind, Madam Deputy Speaker. Residents in the town of Swanscombe in my constituency are having their lives blighted and made a misery by diversion of large vehicles through their narrow streets due to the collapse of the A226 Galley Hill Road 17 months ago. A combination of Kent County Council, Thames Water and the Department for Transport are needed to fix this. Could I ask my right honourable friend whether a debate might be scheduled to address this very important issue?
Well, he's just taken the opportunity to raise what sounds like a really important matter for his constituency, and it does sound exactly like the sort of debate that would benefit from application for an adjournment debate in the House.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to give everyone a moment to change over their seats on the front benches.